England Patriots trade for star wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk from the San Francisco 49ers? That is the topic of today's show. This is Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I'm Nic Rohloff because, well, some interesting reports came out about Brandon Aiyuk and his potential contract extension, which could lead to a trade. Before we dive into the meats and potatoes of today's show, we are 140 subscribers away from 10,000, a massive milestone at the channel that really puts you into a different tier of YouTube channels here at Chat Sports. The goal is to get there before April 1st. Well, we're 140 away, and April 1st is tomorrow. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button. You will not regret it because we put out daily Patriots content surrounding the team. We'll have you covered with the latest draft news, rumors, trade rumors like a video like today. Hit that sub button so you don't miss a thing. All right, the reason why I wanted to come up and talk about this on today's show is because Mike Garafolo, an NFL insider, came out and said that the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk are not close to a contract extension. Right now, Aiyuk is slotted and slated to go into his final year of his rookie contract. It's a fifth-year option, as he was a first-round pick out of Arizona State in the 2020 NFL Draft. And he's just been terrific, right? And this is someone who New England would absolutely benefit from having from a roster building perspective, but yeah, also helping out that presumed third overall pick that you're going to have at quarterback. And the thing that impresses me about Brandon Aiyuk so much, and something that I think Eliot Wolf has stressed out on because of when he got the job, and Jerod Mayo, is developing, right, and getting better year after year, growing, not even just as a football player, but as a man. And everything you've seen Aiyuk do in his NFL career has just shown you the ability to get better and improve. When he was first starting out in the league, he was actually in the doghouse in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan did not give Aiyuk that much playing time because, well, he just wasn't doing the little things correctly. You have to be able to block in their scheme, and he just was not getting the run he deserved. But then he got out of the doghouse, worked his ass off, got into the starting lineup next to Deebo Samuel, and he has just taken off, and he has cemented himself as someone who I believe is a top 10, top 15 wide receiver in the National Football League. I mean, this last year, he officially took over as wide receiver one for the 49ers, putting up 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns. And it's not like he's working with some fantastic elite quarterback, right? Like, it's just Brock Purdy, and Purdy's a good player, but he's nothing absolutely special in terms of talent and just flashes. And the trade rumors are not slowing down surrounding Aiyuk, especially when he put this on his Instagram story just earlier this week. If you see, it's a line of 5 emojis, and I think the best way to read this is money talks, bullshit walks. So, if he's not going to get paid and the 49ers aren't giving him the money he believes he's deserved, and that's that money talks part, right? And then you get to the bullshit walks. Well, if they're going to continue to bullshit Brandon Aiyuk, maybe he is going to request a trade like T. Higgins did from the Cincinnati Bengals. What say you? Should the Patriots trade for the 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk? If you believe Eliot Wolf should try to pull that trigger, type your Y's. If you think New England should just kind of sit back and let this one go, type your N's. I'll say this again. Brandon Aiyuk is an elite wide receiver. I believe he truly is a top 10, top 15 guy in this league. He is very smooth with his route running abilities. He has so much explosiveness as well, averaging 17.9 yards per catch in 2023. He could beat you over the top. He can simply just destroy you with his ability to run routes all over the route tree. He's especially really, really good at working over the middle of the field, and he shows up in the big moments as well. And when you look at what New England is currently working with at the wide receiver position, well, it's not too much, right? Kendrick Bourne at the wide receiver 1 spot. I got KJ Osborne, the former Minnesota Viking, who New England signed to a 1-year deal as that number 2 wide receiver, even though I just think he'll play a lot of X and stuff like that, at least as this currently constructed, with the second-year man out of Liberty, Pop Douglas, lining up in that slot. You also have Juju Smith-Schuster, who I think could be traded or cut prior to the season. But when you look at this room, one thing comes to mind, and I don't even think I have to show anything other than just these three guys. But you have to upgrade this room, whether it be in the NFL draft, whether it be via trade. One thing is absolutely clear to me, and it's the fact that the New England Patriots, if they want to get serious about this rebuild and maybe starting to get back to a winning way, you have to do it by upgrading the wide receiver room to help whatever quarterback you have under center next year. More on this conversation coming up, but I got to show some love to our sponsor on today's show, and that is Game Time, the number one ticketing app on the market. I love Game Time for a variety of reasons. One, well, it makes getting tickets the day of super easy. And personally, I'm someone who procrastinates at times. It's not a great quality, but Game Time is there to back me up because if I didn't get tickets to whether it be a sporting event, concert, comedy show, and I just was like, you know what, I do want to actually go today, they are the number one spot to get last-minute tickets. Another reason why I love Game Time is the ability of them to show you where your seats actually are. You can go to a Boston Bruins game. You can go to a Boston Celtics game. And when you click on those tickets to buy them, you see the exact vantage point where your seat is going to be. So if you've never been to TD Garden in the past, well, you're not going to get blindsided by sitting in a bad spot. The other reason why I love them, the two reasons why I love them the most is the seating, the vantage point ability to see, and the all-in pricing because they show you the price it will actually cost you when you're scrolling for tickets. Not going to say it's 50, 60 bucks, and then when you go to check out, well, it's actually 120 because of hidden fees. They show you that ability when you do all-in pricing. So head to the App Store, download Game Time today. You could look up Game Time, or if you see that little icon you can see in the bottom left of your screen right now, the best place to get last-minute seats, last-minute tickets. Download the app. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account at Game Time after downloading the app and redeem the code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Get started with them today. I'm also putting that link in the comments and description of today's video. I'll say this one more time as we transition back to wide receiver talk. I know Brandon Aiyuk is a better wide receiver for T. Higgins, but to me, I think you need to either make a deal for Aiyuk or Higgins. They are just two of the best wide receivers out there that can be had via trade, at least according to the latest reports and rumors, especially T. Higgins since he actually requested a trade. But Aiyuk's more of just speculation because both these guys are elite. They've both been in the league for 4 years. T. Higgins was a second-round pick by the Cincinnati Bengals in 2020. Brandon Aiyuk was a first-round pick. Aiyuk's played 4 more games, but as you see, the numbers aren't too different, right? Higgins only trails Aiyuk in terms of career yards by 300. Same amount of touchdowns, both average about the same yards per game and yards per catch. But you just think if T. Higgins plays in 4 more games, like he's probably eclipsing Brandon Aiyuk's yardage total and probably is eclipsing the touchdown number as well. T. Higgins is as good as a big wide receiver on the outside as you can find. He's only 25, 26 years old. You can get him into Foxborough for the next 5 to 6 years, give him a nice little extension of $24, $25 million per season, and really get to work with him as your wide receiver one, Demario Douglas inside, and then KJ Osborne and Kendrick Bourne rotating in as that third guy. Like, to me, that is the best way this offseason can conclude. And after missing out on Calvin Ridley and reports being out there that New England is still interested in getting another wide receiver for one of their quarterbacks, to me, it just is a slam dunk. And it's a necessity almost. I think if you really want to be serious about taking this team to the next direction and start to have a chance to go in this rebuild, you need to draft a quarterback at pick number 3, whether it be Jaden Daniels or whether it be Drake May, and then get an established wide receiver on the outside to help that young quarterback out, because we've just seen these quarterbacks take another step in their careers when they get a solid wide receiver. Think about Jalen Hurts, right? He gets A.J. Brown. They take off. They go to Super Bowl in year 1. Josh Allen getting Stephon Diggs. Like, when these quarterbacks get a top-tier wide receiver, they elevate their play. And if you start a young quarterback with a top-tier wide receiver, well, then maybe that just will help him progress and develop even quicker. You can go the route if you don't want to trade for a wide receiver, whether it be Higgins or Aiyuk, to draft one at pick 34. These are my top 10 wide receivers in the NFL draft who these guys are, not all of them, but some of them will be there at pick 34 for New England. I think MHJ and Neighbors are interchangeable at 1, 2. I have Odunze at 3. Brian Thomas at 4. Adonai Mitchell at 5 is interesting. He certainly will not be there at pick 34, in my opinion, when New England's picking in the second round. But he is someone that I think you could keep your eye out for. If Eliot Wolf in New England identifies him as their favorite target in that late first round, early second round, maybe they trade up to pick 25, 26 if he's still on the board to snag the Texas wide receiver. Or they can wait and maybe see if Ladd McConkey falls to them at 34. Xavier Worthy's an interesting name. I'm really high on Xavier Legette, the South Carolina wide receiver. And then the last two on my list here is Troy Franklin and Roman Wilson. A little bit too early to take those two at 34 in my opinion. So if all 8 guys ahead of them are off the board at that point, I'd honestly think of going offensive tackle or trading back to stockpile more picks. But Franklin and Wilson both have specific abilities that really flash. Franklin's a speed demon. Roman Wilson, undersized, but can really run a really good route tree, and he was absolutely dominating at the Senior Bowl. So you look at these wide receivers, and it brings you to this question. Should New England trade for a wide receiver, a.k.a. Brandon Aiyuk or T. Higgins, or should they just draft one of those 10 guys to pair up with Drake May, Jane Daniels, or J.J. McCarthy, who they are probably going to pick at number 3. If you think they should trade, type your T's. If you think they should draft, get those D's down in the comment section. If you're asking me on which route I'd like to go, I'm typing my T's. I'd like to trade for a proven guy, and I know it's a new grading system, it's a new GM, so we can't think about the misfires at wide receiver over the past 3 or 4 seasons, but it does get hard to shake that New England has not been successful at drafting wide receivers early over the past 6 or 7 years. So to me, the best way to go about this is just go trade pick 34 and some others, and maybe with T. Higgins, you don't even have to trade 34. Maybe it's 68 in this year's draft and a future 4th-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed did not go for as much as we thought, only being a 3rd and a future pick as well. So potentially Higgins isn't as expensive as we once thought. But you get a proven guy in here that has been established, knows that he can be a wide receiver 1, knows how to be a veteran, lead this wide receiver room in Foxborough, and then really help a young quarterback develop and grow. I would just go the trade route if the opportunity presents itself for New England. Make sure you do hit that sub button, because if New England makes a trade or there are more rumors out there surrounding the Patriots, we will have you covered. Less than 25 days away from the NFL draft. You do not want to miss a thing. So hit that sub button and help us get to 10K before the month turns to April tomorrow.